Most people try to do a city in one run. We've been exploring Berlin for 4 years, and it still surprises us. And today was one of those days. You see a lot that day. You get the photos, but very little of the place stay with you. We used to travel like that too. Sometimes we still do. But now we try to travel differently. Not to be in the city, to feel it. We were still right in the center, still close the place everyone knows, the Red Tower halls, the church, the TV tower above it all. But this time the landmarks were not the mission. They were just part of the road. Sometimes it is the way the city leads you. And then Berlin's change mood again. Historic streets, those spring lights. And suddenly sometimes strange breaks the picture. That contrast is part of the city too. Berlin never stay in one character for long.
We don't have a lot of time today, so we know that next to Alexanderplatz there is a Nikolaiviertel, where a church is placed and a lot of old buildings that actually here from 12th century.
This is the kind of place that walks through atmosphere, not scale. It doesn't try to overwhelm you. It changes your attention instead. Here, Berlin feels smaller, closer, more human. And that matters, because then every stop on the trip is loud, famous, and efficient. You can end the day with plenty of photos and very little that actually stay with you. But places like this do something else. They make you notice texture, the shape of a street, the details in the facades, the way one quiet corner can change the whole feeling of a city walk. This is not the kind of place you rush through. If you do, it stays pretty, but shallow. If you walk it properly, it starts to feel like a real piece of an old Berlin. That is useful in a different way. Not guidebook useful, travel useful, not how to see more. How to get more out of what you are already seeing. And maybe that's what people often miss here. Not the district itself, but what it does to your attention. It makes Berlin feel less like a capital you have to keep up with, and more like a place you can actually enter.
Berlin actually is a city where you don't know where you can find something. Any place you actually can stay for hours.
And then the city opens again. This is another thing Berlin does well. Different eras, different styles, different moods, all suddenly standing next to each other. Sometimes beauty in a city is not one famous building. It is the conversation between buildings, the tension, the contrast, the way different versions of the city keep talking to each other. And then Berlin opened one more time. Water, bridges, stone, distance, and the Berliner Dom rising ahead. This is what fast travel often misses.
We were numerous times here, but it is the first time when we see this stunning view. We also can see this tiny Venice in Berlin.
Not the landmark itself, but the reveal, the approach, the space before it, the moment when a view stops feeling famous and starts feeling like a part of your own day. By the time we reached Jungfernbrücke, this walk no longer felt like a road, it felt like a reminder. Even small detail here started to feel mindful to us, especially on a day like this. Then the whole point was how we travel, because maybe the real question in travel is not how much did we do today. Maybe it is, did the city actually have a chance to leave a mark on us? That is what shorter roads can do so well. They leave room for meaning, not because less is always better, but because too much can flatten everything. Sometimes one bridge, one view, one quiet stretch of road can hold a whole day together in your memory.
This is one of the oldest bridges in Berlin. It was renovated in 1798.
Walking through Berlin, you can see a lot of interesting buildings. And we also stepped into one beautiful church. And this is the kind of place that quietly changed the whole work. Moments like this are exactly why a city feels deeper on foot. From the outside, it's easy to pass by. Inside, it gives the whole road a different weight. It's not just a church. It feels more like a meeting point between Berlin's history, architecture, and sculpture. Then we reached Gendarmenmarkt. The whole mood changed completely. After the tighter streets of Nikolaiviertel, this part of Berlin felt wider, grander, and almost theatrical. That is why walking matters, not because you collect more places, but because you feel the transitions between them. One part of the city pulls you in, the next puts the city on display. And if you move too fast, you remember the names, maybe, but miss the rhythm. And then we step out of sightseeing mood completely. Hot chocolate, dessert, warm air, a pause in the middle of the city. And honestly, this is the kind of moment people underestimated in travel. On paper, it looks small. In memory, it changed the whole day.
If you are tired during the city walk, you definitely can get to the cafe near the French church, and it's also awesome dessert and hot chocolate.
And this place is not just about food, but also about aesthetic pleasure.
Piece of good chocolate always makes her face happier. A lot of good chocolate.
Inside, you can also see the chocolate miniatures of Berlin's landmarks, looked almost too perfect to touch. Tiny version of the city, playful, detailed, strangely impressive.
If you want to see Berlin in miniature, it's definitely worth to visit the chocolate store.
And somehow that felt symbolic too, because travel should not only be about looking at places, it should also be about tasting them, sitting in them, letting them become personal for a moment. This is the part that rarely makes the checklist, but very often it is the part that feels most real. Not because it was huge, because it was real. We still saw the famous views, we still passed the landmarks, but this time they were not the point, they were part of the rhythm, and that changed the whole vibe. Berlin stopped feeling like a list and started feeling like a city again. Maybe that is what we want more from travel now. Not more stops, not more proof, just more presence. To see less and feel more. Because sometimes one short walk, one older quarter and beautiful square, one warm cup of hot chocolate and one bridge at the right moment can stay with you longer than a whole day of highlights. And honestly, that feels like a better way to travel. That's the kind of motion we were born for.